What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous climb o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to our Monday live stream. Shout out to all of you watching us on Rumble or X or the best live chat on YouTube. Welcome to tonight's show. I love watching you guys engage with the comments before the show actually starts, because it kind of gives me an idea of the tone and just the vibe that you guys are feeling out there in the streets and in your community. So as it relates to this topic, I actually saw one comment that really concerned me in terms of the fact that all of this unrest and violence that we're seeing up in Minnesota. One individual, shout out to you, talked about how you absolutely do believe that this is spiritual in nature, because not only is it split your family, but now it has crept into your conservative church. And that should give all of us a reason to be concerned and to be alarmed. So before I start tonight's show, I want to always cover topics that are going to be educational and provide you guys with some sort of transformative commentary that's either going to challenge your deeply held presuppositions or give you something else to consider. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys a resource that I shared a few shows back from Liberty University. I've got an amazing relationship with the individuals there at the Freedom Center. Shout out to Ryan Heffenbein and Amy Sneed over at the Freedom Center. Virgil Walker, a very good friend of my family, and we've been, I think we charted and verified we've been friends like 11 years, maybe something like that. I lost track. But Virgil Walker does some prolific writing for the Freedom Center. And if you are an individual who this situation happening up in Minnesota is causing a wedge between you and your family because of the emotional manipulation and the inability for people to understand the biblical position of immigration as it relates to illegal immigration. And if your church is even struggling with how to craft a proper biblical narrative on this issue, I would invite you to visit standingforfreedom.com. And when you go there, there is a tab called Theology of Politics. And I'm glad that this digital resource exists, and I have the pleasure. I would send one of my kids to go upstairs and get the physical pamphlet, but y'all know how it is when you send your children to go do something and you give them specific instructions, they filter it through their brain, and you ask for toilet paper and they come back with a roll of paper towels, or you ask for some vinegar and they come back with some honey. You just like, did did you not hear what I asked? So I have the physical copy of this pamphlet. Let me just share my screen with you guys really quickly. I wasn't planning to show this early in the show, but before I get into the content, I just want to let you know that the body of Christ has not been left without tools and resources to help you think biblically about this. So when you go to standingforfreedom.com /white papers, or as soon as you get there, when you click right here, Theology of Politics, you're going to see the Case for Mass Deportation, Standing for Freedom Center. This document was put together by Virgil Walker, and it is a very biblically sound apologetic defense for why mass deportation must happen, how it is absolutely biblical, and it is consistent with the Christian world view. We are living in a national immigration crisis right now. It is a national emergency. And so I would encourage you to read through this. His premise and his thesis is laid out, and then from there, he provides all sorts of documentation. It is well footnoted. You can click on each footnote that will take you to the sources that were used to support this position. And I believe that this document can help you when you're talking with your family members and with your friends and with your pastors and elders at your church. They need to have this, and your pastor may need to address this from the pulpit or doing a Bible study to help people to think biblically about this. We need faithful shepherds who are not emotional about this and who love their flocks enough to explain to them the issue from a biblical perspective. I just believe that a lot of these cultural issues, the reason why most lay people struggle to think in proper categories is because a lot of churches up until now, you haven't really had to deal with the topic of illegal immigration. And so if your church is not informed, and your average run of the mill church attendee cannot provide an apologetic defense for why what this administration is doing and why it is biblical, you need resources. So I am hoping that I've been able to kind of point you in the right direction as it relates to this topic. And it just gives you a biblical framework to follow when you discuss these issues. I saw your comment, Becky, and I hope that this resource is a blessing to you and at least puts you on the right path to initiate thoughtful and loving and God-honoring conversations as it relates to this topic. I have no idea why I was saying relationships. Anyway, but hopefully you guys are doing well, right? We are here. As you saw on the thumbnail, I am doing some more content on this issue because apparently some people have lost their minds and their ability to think. I literally cannot remember, you guys, a time when it was cool or permissible for civilians, like just regular run-of-the-mill Joe Schmoes, to interfere with federal law enforcement. But the thing is, when people do that, guess what happens, guys? People die, right? Like it's not they might die or they could die, they do. And so I'm bringing you an update. There was a Border Patrol agent who has lost a finger. We also have an armed suspect who showed up to, I'm just going to call them these ICE resistance organized protest events. He showed up with a 9mm handgun, full, and he came with extra magazines. And law enforcement, they were assaulted, and the Minneapolis police are MIA. They're not stepping in to help, and the city is continuing to descend further and further into chaos. And yet, the people, though, who helped light this match, they're pretending they're like, we're shocked that there is now a burning fire in our city when they're the ones instigating the fire. It's interesting to me how this all works, but we need to discuss. I understand how polarizing this topic is, and I blame our K-12 system. Our media does a very good job of creating inflammatory coverage by saying he was just a nurse and he was working for the VA and him didn't do nothing but go to get a donut, and then the next thing he know, he is shot. Like, this is the framing surrounding this story. And I want to make it clear to my audience, I'm not trying to minimize the loss of life. I am not. I am a Christian. I value life at all walks and stages of life. However, we need to discuss this shooting. And what people need to understand is that there will be more bloodshed. As long as the lawless behavior is allowed, there's going to be more bloodshed. And to be honest, as much as the mainstream media and Tim Walz and all of the leadership up in Minnesota, they're trying to act all sad and heartbroken over the loss of life, you guys, this was the goal. They do not care about the individuals who've lost their lives. These are the useful idiots that are just the sacrificial lamb in the broader scheme of what they're trying to do. So, I have a clip that I want to share with you guys about what actually happened. And this is a clip from Kristi Noem, who is going to give you guys a play-by-play as to what happened.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. About hundreds of protesters then showed up at the scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects, and a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers. I'll remind you that Governor Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist. He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to turn over murderers to federal law enforcement officers. He's protected illegal criminals and protected them from being brought to justice, and even overseen a historic, unprecedented theft of American taxpayer dollars. Tens of billions of dollars were stolen under his watch, and he allowed it to happen, and in some instances may have even facilitated it. In other cities and states across the country, we don't see this happen. Local, state, and officials work with us to make sure that we're making their streets safer. I'll point to the city of Memphis, which is where there is a Democrat mayor in place. He worked with us and our federal law enforcement officers, and we saw murder rates drop by 50% because of that partnership. We've seen historic lows in the criminal acts that have happened in that city. We've had the same amount of law enforcement officers there, but a very different result because of the leadership in place. Last week, ICE did over 2,000 different operations, and we saw people be brought to justice and the American people made safer because of that work. We don't have this problem in Texas or in Florida because those individuals in those states work with us, and they make sure that they keep peace and calm while they bring criminals to justice. In Minneapolis, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, they instead choose violence. They instead choose to encourage the destruction of their city and the crime against their people.
So, you guys, I wanted you to see that clip, and I wanted you to hear Kristi Noem in her own words. In this press conference here, she's kind of giving an update as to what happened. So, the individual, Adam Preddy, he approached border patrol agents armed, 9mm. Hear me clearly. To be clear, protesting while armed is not a crime. Okay, I think it's interesting that the party of we want to ban guns, and the Second Amendment is a problem. They will weaponize the Second Amendment when it's to their advantage. No one, this is not even a Second Amendment conversation. Now, an argument could be made, well, if you're coming to peacefully protest and you claim to be nonviolent, why are you showing up to a protest with a handgun? But for me, I would go to a protest armed. I go everywhere armed. I go to worship Jesus. Okay. I keep Jesus in my heart and my 9mm on my hip. That's just how I roll. Okay. I'm an American patriot, and I understand the importance of protecting myself. And I don't relegate that position to law enforcement alone. I protects me and mine. So the issue here is not that the protester showed up with the gun. However, we do need to have a discussion as to why was this particular protester engaging with the law enforcement officers while armed, right? So the law enforcement, border patrol, attempts to disarm this man, and he reacts in a way that causes a dust up, right? So here is my thing. Most of these protesters are not just standing on the sideline holding a picket sign saying, "We don't want ICE." These people are there to agitate. Let's just examine for a moment all of the noise ordinances that are being violated that no one says anything about. These people are blowing whistles, and that serves a purpose. They're blowing the whistles because they want to be a distraction. They don't want these ICE agents and the border patrol officers to be able to communicate, to be able to hear one another, to listen out for commands. So that's why every video you've watched, you're like, why are they blowing these whistles that way? They're doing it on purpose. They want to incite more chaos, right? So this agent, fearing for his life and the lives of others, and there are multiple agents involved. And I understand there are people who are saying, I don't believe that this shooting was justified, right? I don't believe that the shots that were fired were defensive shots. I'm of the opinion at this point that if you are protesting ICE and you're there engaging in agitation, and you're not just minding your business, but when an ICE officer is apprehending or in the middle of doing their job and you interfere with that, at that point you have removed all protection from yourself and the lines are going to get blurred. I don't care. Why are you inserting yourself into these deadly situations with officers who are armed? Like they're bearing the sword for a purpose. And then you're coming there with a sword and you're there with a purpose too. So the agent, fearing for his life and the lives of others, he fires these shots. Medical aid, yes, was rendered. The suspect was pronounced dead. But here's where the details, in my opinion, are starting to get misconstrued. People want us, the American people, to believe that the individuals who are showing up to these protests are just peaceful protesters, right? Nothing about what you are seeing happening in Minnesota is a peaceful protest. Okay, this is not just some innocent bystander who was doing nothing more than getting a donut and next thing he knows, he's dead. That is not what is happening. This man who arrived, y'all, he was prepared for something to pop off. Trust me. He wasn't armed to just protect himself against the illegals, right? Or to protect himself against the other protesters. I am convinced that the people who are out here in sub-zero temperatures are they are committed to this cause. And it's because they've been radicalized and they believe that unless they are there on the front lines, ready to defend themselves against ICE, that no one else is going to do it. They are the vigilante warriors with batteries in their back. And these people are not mentally stable, in my opinion. All of the insanity, y'all, loves company. So when hundreds of agitators show up, these people are not there to de-escalate. They're not to help. They're not there to help anyone. They are there to assault, distract, intimidate, and terrorize the officers who are there to lawfully carry out their duties. Here's how we know this. We don't see this happening in other cities. Other cities also have an illegal immigration problem, and Trump has deployed law enforcement, federal law enforcement, ICE agents, in order to do the very same thing that's being done in Minnesota. But why is it the ones in this city are agitating, throwing objects? We have an officer whose finger was bit off. That is mob violence. I told y'all. These people are just like their KKK ancestors. It's the same spirit. It's just a different century. Notice the media never provides commentary on how these protesters are using objects as weapons. They're throwing water bottles of frozen water, throwing them, projectile objects. They are spitting on these officers. They are engaging in all kinds of disgusting trash behavior. But the media is silent on that part. The media does not cover the criminal behavior from the protesters. It's lawlessness that is happening to these ICE agents, but they don't want to talk about that part. All they want you to do is to focus on the unfortunate and tragic outcomes of one of their sacrificial lambs. That's the part that they want you to focus on. And just like they did Renee Good, putting her little sanitized, her didn't do nothing picture and splatting it all around the media for you to just look and be like, dang, that's sad. They out here killing Americans. That is not the narrative. This absolutely did not have to happen, and it is not happening in other cities. And now, I need to show you guys another clip. I need to show you guys another clip. I want you to listen.
Good evening.
I want you to listen to this Border Patrol agent give you an explanation of why this is happening. Take a listen to this.
Good evening. The man leading Donald Trump's immigration crackdown has defended federal agents operating on the streets of Minneapolis following the death of Alex Pretty yesterday. The 37-year-old intensive care nurse and American citizen died after at least 10 shots were fired at him. His family have accused authorities of telling sickening lies about him, and state officials have renewed their calls for federal agents to leave Minnesota. But speaking in the past hour, Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino said Alex Pretty's death could have been avoided if individuals had made different choices.
The choice to, say, cross the border illegally, that is a choice that someone makes. To cross the border illegally, that's a choice. The choice not to utilize the CBP Home app, that's a choice. Not standing in line and doing it the right way, that is a choice. And there are always actions that result from our choices. When you choose to use your 5-year-old child as a shield to evade law enforcement, that is a choice that someone makes. And there are actions and consequences that result from that choice. Or when you're a politician or a community leader, you make a lot of choices there, some very important, wide-ranging, and in-depth choices. When, as a politician, if you choose collusion and corruption as a choice, then there are consequences and actions that take place because of that. That's one reason the U.S. Border Patrol and ICE are here in Minneapolis by the thousands, is because of those choices. When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices.
So the reason why I wanted to play that one, you guys, because I've noticed we live in a society where agency and choice, no one wants to have a discussion about the choices that individuals make that lead to these outcomes and these consequences. If you are raising a generation to believe that nothing is their fault and that you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, function however you want, that whatever happens to you, we live in this victim culture. So it's no longer, well, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. No, it's no matter what you do. I've even seen it as it relates to women who say, I should be able, and I'm not, the example I'm about to use, there's levels to this, but it's, when I was growing up, it was understood that women who engaged in promiscuous type behavior and wore certain clothing and acted a certain way was inviting the inevitable to happen to them. Now we're told it doesn't matter what you do, what you wear, what you say, how you act. If something happens to you as a result of your choices, it still ain't your fault. And it's because of, we live in a culture where personal responsibility is being minimized. And so I want to ask you guys a question. Has anyone ever stopped to wonder why we're seeing all of this violence and unrest in Minnesota? But we haven't seen this in other states that also have an illegal immigration problem. I raised that question before I played this video, and then I also saw in the I saw this in the comments. Someone said so many of these illegal immigrants could have self-deported, and many of them did. The smart ones did. But what you see in Minnesota, these illegal immigrants who ICE has gone to apprehend, they are playing the long game, and it's because I believe that they have been working in concert with the leadership in Minnesota, and they are now such a powerful voting bloc that they are incredibly bold, and they are actually the ones pulling the strings, putting the battery into Tim Walz and Jacob Frey's back, saying, "You work for us. You do what we say. We're the ones that got you over that finish line. You know, we're the voting bloc that decides these elections." And so the fraud must continue. You're going to keep giving us the free stuff, and then we'll continue to show up for you. We don't care about any of your freak nasty, LGBT policies. Like, a lot of these immigrants don't care anything about that. We're being colonized. We are absolutely being colonized, and the leadership in Minnesota, they are complicit because they don't care about Americans. They will steal your money right under your nose, right in front of your face. They will brag about it. And then the same money that you pay in taxes, they will use it and give it to their loyal constituents who now have amassed so much power in that state that they're the ones buying the politicians. You don't see this in other states that have an illegal immigration problem because, particularly in Texas, you're not seeing this, and you're not seeing it in Florida because those states are functional states. They have leadership that backs the law instead of sabotaging it. In those states, law enforcement is not treated like the enemy. They are working together. They're treating the law enforcement as if in Minnesota, as if they're the problem. In states like Texas and Florida, they're treated like the thin line that is holding all of civilization together. They know that law and order must be preserved and maintained. So even in a Democrat city like Memphis, which has a Democrat mayor, he's like, "I don't want no smoke, and we're not going to have any problems. I will work with you, Donald Trump." But in Minneapolis, this leadership has chosen anarchy. Why? Because they've done this before. They've done this before, and this is the playbook that has worked for them. This is being done on purpose. And this is why I believe Tim Walz absolutely has blood on his hands. Let's stop dancing around all of this. Tim Walz, as the governor, does not get to wash his hands of this foolishness. This man has lied. He has claimed that federal officers weren't real law enforcement. He said that. What kind of leader makes such a reckless statement like that? The truth is, ICE and Border Patrol, no, they are not state law enforcement, but they are federal law enforcement, which means the same respect you'd want them to give your Minneapolis police, they should have the same amount of respect. But he gets real weaselly with his words because he knows that liberals are slow and can't think in proper categories. This man has called them the Gestapo. He has encouraged for people to resist. He told these brain dead morons to take it to the streets and to fight back because we don't want ICE here. He knows that the lives of these officers are absolutely at risk due to all of the doxing, but he's done nothing to speak out against it. He has refused to cooperate with the federal authorities, and he has actually protected and shielded the criminal illegals and presided. He's protecting the illegals is because all of the theft, I'm talking historic theft that has been happening of taxpayer dollars. He doesn't want the truth to come out. And so he needs this chaos to continue as a distraction. Somebody mentioned it in the live chat. So when you tell your people that ICE is illegitimate and you demonize officers and glorify resistance, do not get surprised or act shocked when all of these radicals show up armed and then interfere with what ICE is doing. The blood is on this man's hands. Absolutely. And the reason why I bring him up is because this chaos is the distraction and it's intentional. I've been connecting the dots ever since this popped off with the Quality Leering Center. I connected the dots. I said, "Oh, y'all think that much money gets just disappears into thin air and he doesn't know?" Absolutely, he knows. And so now the chaos, they need this chaos and it's useful to them because when you are a corrupt leader, you need the chaos and the streets to burn because no one's asking questions about the fraud, all of the theft, the missing billions of dollars. The chaos is needed to shift the spotlight. And notice the pattern. I have another clip that I want you guys to listen to. Give me one quick second. Listen to this clip. This is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. And I wish I told you guys, didn't I tell y'all that the right needs a one pager of talking points, and every time someone puts a microphone in your face, you need to say this because the American people are not hearing it. And I recently saw in a poll when they surveyed independents as well as Republicans on their thoughts of what's going on with ICE, some of them are saying, I think Trump is doing a little bit too much. And I think he needs to just figure something else and do something else different. And I'm like, no, that's what they want to happen. This absolutely must happen. And we don't have a whole lot of time. She's going to explain it.
All right, everyone, let's go out to the White House. So we do have Caroline Leavitt just stepping up.
And as much of
Sorry, it needs to start at the 1 minute mark. I wrote that down and then act like I didn't even see it.
this storm, I would also like to address the chaotic scenes in Minnesota over the weekend. Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Preddy, the brave men and women of federal law enforcement, and the many Americans who have been victimized at the hands of illegal alien criminals. Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out. But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor Jacob Fry and other elected Democrats were spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets: murderers, rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang members.
Notice how the left is perfectly okay protecting murderers, pedophiles, rapists. Like, these people, so many of them have committed heinous crimes. They're willing to protect those individuals, and they don't care because it's like, well, we need all of them are not that, so we just need to, can't we just keep the ones that are not? And it's like, we won't know who's who until ICE goes in and does their job. Lawlessness will escalate, but they want to protect these individuals.
Mayor Walz and Mayor Frey have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who were just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world to flood into our country.
I'm going to stop Carolyn right there because did you hear what she said? How did we get here? She's giving you the timeline. President Biden opened up the border and let millions of people in. Do you guys understand why? It's not because they're like, hey, this is America, the land flowing with milk and honey. Any and everybody can come because we've got more than enough. No, the Democrats have been losing electoral votes. They've been losing voters. They've killed a lot of their voters. This is a power grab. They knew if we could let these people in and get them to vote, offer them free stuff, we will have replaced all of the black voters who overwhelmingly vote and support us at a 90% plus clip. We'll just rinse and repeat, and we'll get another 50, 60, 70 years of a loyal voting bloc, electoral serfs. They don't care about these people. They're all of the free stuff that they're offering them, they wanted to create a dependent class because they want the votes. They want to pack all of these people into blue cities, and sometimes some blue cities, and just enough, maybe just 5,000 here, maybe 10,000 there, to sway elections. If you have 5 or 10,000 illegal immigrants that are all receiving free stuff in your red district, eventually it is enough to sway an election. This is why they open, and to the Democrat, they're like, well, I mean, if some of these illegals come over here and the crime goes up, no big deal. Our cities are ridden with crime anyway. So they don't care. Your city's already trashed. What's a couple of more 100,000 lawbreakers gonna do? It's not gonna make a difference. Your city's already full of a bunch of crackheads anyway, right? So in their mind, if some Americans die at the hands of some of these illegals, it's no big deal because the ends justify the means. This is why you won't hear them say Laken Riley's name. You won't hear them say Dakara Thompson's name. You won't hear them mention none of the names of the people who have died at the hands of illegals because to them, they're just casualties of war. The ends justify the means. As long as we get votes and power, oh well. Same thing with these crash test dummies in the city of Minnesota that so far have been shot and killed due to the radicalization. The ends justify the means.
Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families. Yet we never saw outrage from Democrats or their allies in the liberal media over these horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens. The pain of American angel families was ignored and dismissed because it undermined the Democrat narrative. Innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungray, Laken Riley, and Rachel Morin are just a few of the many victims savagely murdered by illegal alien criminals. Earlier this month, an illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the skull of an 8-year-old innocent child.
Who the heck does that? What justification do you have of an illegal immigrant throwing a stone at a school bus and injuring a child? And a lot of times we don't even find out that these people are illegal until they have committed a crime. And during the apprehension process is when it's discovered. But to a leftist, they're like, well, these people are just coming here for a better life. That might be true. Why is it you don't open up your home to the thousands of homeless people or individuals who are down on their luck in your city? Why don't you open up your home and let them come in? They're down on their luck. They're just looking for a better life. The leftist never thinks through the logical implications of so many of the humanitarian positions that they hold. They want all of us to side with them, but they're not even willing to live up to the standard that they set for themselves. If you ask them, how many illegals have you opened up your home to? How many are sleeping on your couch right now? Why Julio can't come in? He's just looking for a better life. They'll start hemming and hawing and stuttering. Well, I'm just one person. Yeah, okay. Well, one person do something. You'll be the change that you want to see. They will never do it. All of the do-gooderism that they claim they're about, ask them in their own personal life, what have they done other than to stand with a sign and agitate? I'm telling you, it's almost as if these leftists feel this is a religion to them. This is their sacrament. When they go out in these sub-zero degree temperatures and fight ICE and agitate, this is a form of worship to these people. This is their sacrament. And in it, they believe that they are earning themselves some sort of eternal reward in their religion of human achievement. This is why the gospel has to be primary. If you think about it, if this is your religion, a religion of works, a works righteousness, where you believe in your heart of hearts that you can storm into a church and demand that that church stop supporting ICE, which would be a violation of scripture because having borders is biblical. But anyway, this is a gospel issue for the lone reason that these people have believed the lie, they've internalized it as a religion, and then they demand that you bow the knee and worship to their false god and participate in their false religion of human achievement that they disguise under to be a good person. To be a good person, you must be on our side. And if you're not, you're the devil. You're the enemy. You must be destroyed. Think about it. It is the religion of human achievement. It is a works righteousness system that has deceived and led so many onto the road of destruction. But if you think about the gospel, doesn't say at the threat of a gun, you do good to your neighbor. The gospel of Christ is because Christ has come in and he has changed your heart and he's taken out your heart of stone and given you a heart of flesh. You do good to your neighbor, and loving your neighbor means I love my neighbor enough to want to protect them from someone who may be a lawbreaker. Wisdom says you would operate by trying to figure out who are these people, and let's see if we can figure out a lawful path to citizenship. You would operate in wisdom. You would never just open up your home to anybody because love of neighbor says I love my neighbor enough to protect my neighbor from an enemy, both foreign and domestic, whether I know them or I don't know them. But I would need to use wisdom first in being able to sort all of that out. They don't want us to sort any of this out. This is why I hate the social justice gospel so much. Because if you go to a church and they're preaching the social justice gospel, and you don't know the actual gospel of Christ, and they weaponize those verses, talk about, well, when I was cold, when I was hungry, he fed me, and when, no. You do not get the right to rip scripture out of its context and tell me, the individual, that I, under the threat of coercion and government force, that I have to do good to my neighbor when I'm not doing it from a place of pure heart and good intention. The Bible never demands that the government do that. Individuals do that. You go feed the hungry. You don't steal my money and demand that my money be used to feed the hungry. You go and clothe the naked, not the government. That is not how this works. But I told y'all, the liberal, the low IQ liberal can't think in proper categories. This is why they're always trying to weaponize your Christian faith against you. And if you don't arm yourself with the word of God and understand biblical imperatives and understand what the gospel of Christ demands from you, the individual, you will find yourself being guilted and made to feel that you are somehow in sin because you want to be a nation of laws and you want to protect your nation's borders.
President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes.
So I wanted you guys to hear what I was going to say, Sister Carolyn. And I know where I got that from. Caroline Levitt, I wanted you to hear what she had to say because it gives you some insight as to how we got here. This is President Trump trying to clean up on aisle 10 all of what President Biden did by opening up this border. Him and that cackling hen, Kamala, both of them, because she's the one that told them to come here. The lawlessness has escalated. The media wants to reframe what justice actually looks like. And then these politicians are exploiting the outrage, and then accountability just goes out the window. Y'all, this is not incompetence. These people are doing this as a strategy. They don't care how many people get hurt. As long as the noise drowns out the truth, that is all that matters. These radicals have been, these liberals have been radicalized, and they've lied to these people. So much so that we've seen multiple tragedies happen because these people are interfering, believing that they are doing good. They have been incredibly deceived. They have been told law enforcement is evil. It is racist to have borders. Can you believe that? No other country on the face of the planet is made to feel as if them having a border and protecting their borders is xenophobic except America. These people want you to believe that obedience and submission to governing authorities, that is oppression. That's why they support the anarchy. And every time you see them out here acting chaotic, in their worldview, they are displaying courage. They're being courageous by engaging in all of this chaos. So they step into these situations that they don't understand. They end up getting injured or arrested or they die. And this is what happens when you are illogical, you are void of reason, and you're led by your emotions. These people are unhinged. When I read in my Bible, Romans 13 does not stutter. The government exists for a very specific purpose, not person. And the goal of government, the role of government is to punish the wicked doer, restrain the lawless. They reward good. There's no way you can convince me that these people out here at these protests are doing good. No. The violence is being outsourced to these mobs, and this is what radicalization looks like. So I think I have one more clip I want to show you guys. I want to show you where this is
Nearly
headed.
80 million.
Because where this is headed, it's not good. I was watching. I know some of y'all feel a certain way about Megyn Kelly these days because she
James,
kinda
welcome.
disappointed us for a little bit. However, Megyn Kelly recently had James O'Keefe on her show. And I want to show you a clip from her show to show you where all of this is headed. Because if you think what happened to Border Patrol was bad, I want you to take a look at what happened to James O'Keefe. Give me a second.
You were in the thick of all this over the weekend. Tell us about your experience.
Hey, Megan. Yeah, I was actually in Minnesota for a different reason on Friday and Saturday morning, and I was in undercover journalism, doing some undercover journalism, and I was there when the shots were fired. Just absolute coincidence. So I walked over to the location in what appeared to be like the suburbs of Minnesota, a relatively nice neighborhood. People need to understand that what's so shocking to me is that this is not like a bad neighborhood. This is just a suburban place. And this is before the autonomous zone was formed. I don't know, about 11, 12 a.m. I was walking. We parked our vehicle, got out of our vehicle. We did have undercover people in the mob. But what was striking to me is right when I parked my vehicle, as soon as I got out, it's negative 12 degrees, so every part of your skin is completely covered. They can't identify you. Immediately, 5 women who are white began interrogating me and asking me who I am and what my identity is. I've never experienced anything quite like this. I actually told them I was press. And they proceed. It was almost like they were going to do a citizen's arrest on me unless I identified myself, showed them my ID. So I told them, I'm
James, forgive me.
Yeah.
You guys.
You see how these people are bullies? Y'all get mad at me and think that I'm being dramotional. Yes, dramotional is one of my other words we can add to the lexicon. Dramotional is a blend of dramatic and emotional. I've been using that since. When did I start using dramotional? I can't remember, but I made it up. But anyway, y'all think I'm being dramotional when I say that these people are not well. They are so radicalized and their brains are so stuck on derangement that they really believe that they have some sort of authority. Y'all, just take a look at this.
Have given us a couple of videos exclusive to you. People can check them out at your website. So we'll play a couple of them as you tell the story. And there is one of the moment I think you're referring to where they're demanding you show your press badge in SOT 9A. Here it is.
Yeah, I want to see your work on the fucking phone. I'm going to show you this press badge right here. Hand it to
Here's my
us.
press badge.
If it's real, just hand it to her.
Who do these people think they are demanding identification? Do you see her? When I refer to these people and say they are no different than the KKK, they acting just like their ancestors. I just saw a comment from someone here who said, shout out to you, Diggity Diggs. I'm glad to have you here. Diggity Diggs said, I used to be a liberal and suffered from TDS because I was told that Republicans hated Black people and that I was a fool to believe it. I was only 19 years old in college. I'm glad I left the plantation. It's amazing to me because these people really believe that they have some sort of authority, and they become radicalized from this ideology, which I believe, unfortunately, the K-12 system is rife with this ideology. And then when these people graduate from the K-12 government school system into university, especially the white women, they come out completely retarded. They are messed up. They are completely messed up. I've seen it happen. And it's done this way. This is why I homeschool. I said, there's no way you can convince me to send my child to one of these institutions and think they're going to come out normal. They're not normal.
No, it's right here. No, don't give it back.
These guys are not press. I looked up OK Media. It's from Portugal. They're not from Portugal. And none of their work is political at all.
They're idiots.
Okay, we're not.
What are these women doing out here? Y'all know how cold it is up in Minnesota? It was like, these are sub-zero temperatures. Women Y'all can't even pay me to go outside in 30 or 20 degree weather to go check my mail. I'm sending my boys, hey, son, can you go get the mail? It's cold. It's cold outside. I'm not going out there like on purpose. They are outside occupying in the streets. Why are women out here? I am telling you, these women are unsettled. They are chaotic. These are orangutans. This is the female imbecile who cannot manage her misery. So she's just out here showing out. I told y'all, the orangutan is not a dermal descriptor. It's nothing to do with your skin color. You can be an orangutan and be white, black, Hispanic. It is a behavioral descriptor. These are female imbeciles who can't manage their misery. They've made so many life choices that they are bemoaning, that they dedicate their lives to this cause, such as your Renee Goods and her wife. These are the women who realize that they bought into a lie and they don't know any other way to silence the truth about their lives and how jacked up it really is. So they find a cause. They find a cause to throw themselves into. And it don't matter if they out here freezing to death. This is a righteous cause for them. This gives them purpose. This gives them meaning. They've abdicated their role as wife and mother and protector and nurturer, and they dedicate their lives to this foolishness. It's crazy and sad to watch, but this is what they do. Notice most of the voices you hear are female voices.
They covered. They can't identify you. Immediately, 5 women who are white began interrogating me and asking me who I am and what my identity is. I've never experienced anything quite like this. I actually told them I was press, and they proceed. It was almost like they were going to do a citizen's arrest on me unless I identified myself, showed them my ID. So I told them, I'm
James, forgive me.
Yeah.
You guys have given us a couple of videos exclusive to you. People can check them out at your website. So we'll play a couple of them as you tell the story. And there is one of the moment I think you're referring to where they're demanding you show your press badge in SOT 9A. Here it is.
Yeah, I want to see your work on the fucking phone. I'm going to show you. It's my press badge right here. Press badge right here. Hand it to
Here's my
her.
press badge.
If it's real, just hand it to her.
Yeah, no,
No, it's right here. No, give it back.
These guys are not press. I looked up OK Media. It's from Portugal. They're not from Portugal. And none of their
they're
work
idiots.
is political at
Yeah, they're
all.
idiots.
Okay, we're not lying. We're not.
So
Keep going, James.
So we'll tell the story about a sequence, but what happened there is they started yelling shame, 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 and I mean, again, this is not yet even an autonomous zone. I'm somewhere a mile away from the shooting. They followed us to our car. They started throwing things at us. Now remember, negative 12 degrees, a bottle of water will freeze in like 20, 30 seconds, and it's a weapon. And they started throwing objects at me and my security guard. In fact, they actually patted my security guard down. They are the authority. I've never experienced anything like this. I mean, if you have a gun, what are you gonna do? Fire it at them? I mean, that's not gonna work.
I'm with you. My girls, I'm sitting here like, that's why I don't go out to these things. I'm not built for this. Somebody's getting popped. I am an American citizen and I'm minding my business. And can you imagine just trying to walk and they're stopping you like, who are you? Show your ID. I'd be like, to who? To you? I don't owe you an explanation. Who are you? I'm like, you're gonna have to make me. So what you want? I love James O'Keefe, and I believe he was here doing some investigative journalistic work, but I'm trying to understand why he complied. He probably's like, listen, I just want to live to see another day. The work that the investigative journalistic work he's engaged in is incredibly dangerous, and maybe he didn't want them to know who he was. I don't know, but I'm trying to understand what. I don't owe you an explanation. You're not law enforcement. You just some crazy vigilante, unhinged, orangutan, matriarchal miscreants. Like, who are you? I'm not showing you anything. I don't have to furnish my ID to you.
So they confiscated the weapon off of my Marine security detail, followed us to our.
Wait, you need to get you a new Marine security detail. What do you mean they confiscated his weapon? He's not very useful. You need to post his position immediately. I'd be like, bro, you can't work for me. You let them take your weapon? You're a Marine and you let them take your weapon? You let Becky and Margaret take your weapon.
Gun?
Well, he left his gun in the car, but he had like a knife or something on him, and they confiscated. They patted him down, like they're the police. Now the police in Minnesota have left. The police have left this area completely. So you're completely on your own, and I'm shaken, Megan. You had me on to talk about my film Line in the Sand. I've ambushed the cartel. They run away from me. They don't like the cameras. These people will kill you. I've never quite experienced, like, I guess I would call it communism up close. Like, I've never experienced anything like this. So we go to the car and they start throwing projectiles at us, rocks, ice bottles, what appeared to be a knife. Well, I'm still going through all the footage. I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. You saw it in the video. It was terrifying. And we have a couple clips we've given you, but I've never. I'm honestly a little bit shaken. I wouldn't say I'm scared, but I'm shaken. And I guess we'll unpack all this. But what struck me is how organized these people are. Every car.
Hold the thought on the organization, because I do want to get into that.
Somebody getting busted in the mouth. Somebody was gonna get busted in the mouth. You're not taking my Marine security guard's weapon. That's not gonna happen. I told you, I'm from the south side of the kingdom. This is why I can't go outside of a pro-life march where we praying and just marching in a silent protest. I don't do these types of events because I'm crazy. And my crazy matching their crazy, somebody gonna get hurt. I have children. I'm not trying to put myself in a situation where my children end up orphaned or without their mama. And Robert know I'm crazy too. That's why he be like, you can't go. It only take but one time for you to get in my face. The reflex game is strong. I cannot be held responsible for what happens when you get in my face. I'm just saying, especially another woman. Because y'all know chicks, females, they don't believe that fat meat is greasy. So what they'll do, they'll be really, really aggressive, and they'll believe, though, because I'm a woman, nothing's going to happen to me. Don't try that. Listen, I don't know what kind of breed of conservatives are out on these streets, but y'all need to get some conservatives on these streets that's about that life. Because the moment these people think that they can try you, they will. And if you don't assert that you will bust somebody in the mouth, they will try you. I'm just saying. I know y'all like, why is she on the internet advocating violence? I'm not advocating violence. I'm letting you know, if you come into my space and you put your hands on me or attempt to think that you're going to handle me as if you are law enforcement, asking me for my ID and pat me down, I'm busting you in the mouth. Okay? You can cry victim all day long if you want to. Don't come in my personal space. You better back up off me. I told you I'm Anna Henry.
Let me show the audience a little bit of what you were subjected to. Let's hear SOT 10A and 10B together. The crowd's following James. Now you can see the projectile hit James in the back.
See, they want to shame. You see the chant shame? They are reinforcing this. I told y'all this is a religion to these people. They've got mantras and prayers that they push out. Them chanting shame is designed to wear you down, to get your defenses just immobilized, to emotionally engage you, to make you believe that you're not supposed to be here and you shouldn't be on the side of ICE, and you shouldn't be on the side of law and order. You should be out here with us. And if you're not, we're going to shame you. Because they are literally calling evil good and good evil. This is Satan's work. This is some dirty work, ain't it, y'all?
Getting in the car. Green friend.
They're everywhere.
Shut the fucking doors.
Shut the door.
Shut the fucking doors.
Whoa.
We're fucking pressed.
We're pressed.
They threw a
You know what the
frozen
First
water
Amendment
bottle.
is? Yes or no?
They threw a frozen
Ice.
ice brick at the car.
Take off your vest and get in quickly.
These are some crazy domestic terrorists.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, and the reason why is because there's no one there to help. Like, there's no police. The police have stood down. I mean, you tell them they're pressed, and we have more footage, they'll kill you. They don't care. Anybody who's not them is their enemy. If you are a journalist, you're a Fed. And I was trying to reason with them, Megan. I was trying to talk to them rationally. Like, I'm not here. I'm not taking a position for or against ICE. I'm here I'm a reporter. They said they'll kill me. So that was kind of perhaps a glimpse into the future, I suppose, of what we're up against. There's more to the story here. I can tell you what happened next. We try to go back to our hotel, Megan. We're staying downtown. And the person at the hotel signals to one of them. And we then realize that we're in danger. We have to leave our hotel. So we go to a second hotel. And we got someone.
What? What do you mean he signaled? He told them that you were staying there?
Yeah. Yeah. These people have spotters everywhere. They have spotters in every street corner. They have people working at the hotels. They somehow got our license plate, rental car. My driver got a text message, a death threat from a burner number on his phone, which
you posted it.
I did post that, the death threat, yes.
It reads, "We know you're in Minneapolis. You're with O'Keefe and his crew of Nazis. You're in a white Ford license plate," and then you blocked it out, "from Florida. You have 1 hour to leave or you're dead." That was to your driver?
Yeah, that was not to my cell phone. That was to the driver of the vehicle who rented the car. We don't know. I've had the FBI reach out to me. I've had the Attorney General of the United States actually DM'd me. Bondi DM'd me this morning. And we're trying to figure out if we can trace it. But that was not to my cell phone. That was to the driver of the car, which I speculate they ran the tags and found out who rented the vehicle. And they followed us to the hotel. And usually I wrote in my tweet or my post that usually I'm able to lose a tail. Like, they give up. You just drive down the freeway. We go to a second hotel in a town called Wayzata, Minnesota, which is kind of a rich suburban town on the lake where they do ice fishing. And a guy walks in, black block, looks like Antifa. He just stares at me as I'm checking into the hotel. And I then realize I can't actually lose these people. I have to leave the state of Minnesota. Do we drive to Chicago? What are we going to do? And my team was honestly pretty scared. And that's when I went to the parking garage and posted a video of me reading the death threat as we then proceed to go to our third location and try to just extract my team out of there because they feel like their lives are in danger.
Yeah, and that your security team gets to the point where they realize they cannot keep you safe.
Correct.
And it's not just you. It's not just you, James. There was an extraordinary piece of tape out of Minneapolis. This is posted on the New York Post, but we found it on X originally, where anti-ICE protesters violently swarmed a Minneapolis hotel. They're big on swarming the hotels where they think press like you or ICE or Border Patrol are staying. They believe federal officers were staying there. They began hurling items, quoting here from the New York Post, at people inside, smashing in windows, graffitiing FUCK ICE across the building's facade on Sunday. The large mob descended on the Home 2 Suites by Hilton Hotel last Sunday. They shoved and hurled objects at a Minneapolis Police Department officer and others just inside the hotel's lobby and attempted to push their way in. We're showing some video of it now, forcing those inside to use 2 large vending machines to physically block the rowdy demonstrators. "We're all locals. It's all locals," one man shouted as he tried to ward off the protesters. And then we see this piece of tape with a federal agent who's been guarding the hotel, come out and scream, not scream, but like yell with the people at the people standing there. Where is the local PD? Let's listen to it. SOT 12.
Is everyone pressed?
We're overnight. We're all members of the press. We're all press here. Okay. This officer appears to be bleeding from the mouth.
Look how they've tore up this hotel. And y'all think I'm extreme because I said they act just like the KKK. They're worse. At least the KKK was clandestine. These people out in the open with their wickedness. They are worse. This is a hotel. Look at the streets. Do you know how bad this is for commerce? Do you know how bad this is for business? Not only that, the insurance premiums in this area now go up because anytime something like this happens and they have to pay out a claim, someone has to clean all of this up. Someone has to pay for this. These idiots are destroying their own communities, and I can guarantee you, no one acts like this and does this for free. There is nobody has this much passion to where they are out in these sub-zero temperatures doing this for free. These people are paid to do this. These are a bunch of liberal leftist losers who can't hold a job with pink hair and crazy piercings and tattoos all over the place. Can't get hired anywhere. And this is their life's work now. They are getting meaning from doing this. And they are on somebody's payroll. I am told that a lot of these, they may be getting paid up to $1,500 a week to do this. This could be someone's whole income. They're like, we just professionally act a fool. We got nothing else to lose. We got a bunch of useless degrees. We got all this student loan debt. Pay us to do this instead. This gives these people meaning. We're almost done.
Oh my God. Are you okay? I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Says he's all right. He's all right.
Where's the local PD? That's my question for the press.
Okay, this officer.
Where is the local PD?
What's your message to the local PD, sir?
No.
Okay.
Well, the mayor.
Very chaotic.
Sir, while you're giving messages, what would your message to the protesters that want you out be?
An impromptu press conference with them.
As long as you're giving comment.
The local PD is MIA. They've been told to stand down. Their mayor and the sheriff and the police chief have told them, you don't provide any sort of protection for these federal officers. Now, James O'Keefe, he's not special, but this man wasn't even there protesting ICE. He wasn't interfering with law enforcement at all. He wasn't instigating anything. He was just there doing journalism, like legitimate journalism, and it didn't matter. If you are not with these people, they view you as the enemy. James literally describes, he's not even in downtown Minneapolis. He's in a nice, quiet, suburban neighborhood, not a war zone. This isn't it like, Chaz or Chop, some high crime area. This is a place where families live. And yet, within seconds of stepping out of the vehicle, he gets surrounded, not by the police or some other official, these self-appointed enforcers in sub-zero degree weather. 5 women start interrogating this man, asking him, who are you? What's your identity? Show us your papers. I'm like, first of all, I'm trying to understand why he complied, right? I'm like, you a whole grown man, James? What the heck is this? Now, I'm curious to know if he did this just so he can capture the chaos on film. I don't know. But these people have made themselves the authority. Where has this ever been acceptable? Y'all do know this is what the KKK used to do. The mob has replaced the state. We in charge now. They demanded his ID, called themselves how you conducting a citizen's arrest and he's broken no law, following him to his car, throwing frozen projectiles at him in minus 12-degree weather. Nobody is that passionate about any cause to be out in these types of temperatures unless they're being paid to. Do y'all understand what this means? You throw a frozen projectile, some ice, a frozen water bottle, that's not harmless. It is brick. It's like being hit with a brick. So you throw that at somebody and then it escalates. Patting down his security. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they pat Buddy down and confiscate his knife? This is anarchy. They've declared themselves the law. The actual police are MIA. They stood down. The state, Tim Walz and Mayor Fry have retreated. And because they've retreated, the mob's like, don't worry about this. We got this. We're going to step forward. Every single time, this is how it happened. This is what happened during the George Floyd situation. And when I heard James O'Keefe say, they will kill you, y'all, this man has confronted the cartels who like, no, we don't do cameras. He's done some very dangerous assignments, but these people will tell you to your face that they will kill you, and they don't mean metaphorically. Literally, they'll do it. And they didn't care that he was a member of the press. They didn't give a darn about his First Amendment rights. There's no neutrality here. If you're not with them, you're the enemy. And the media wants us to believe these are peaceful protesters, right? No, these are violent revolutionaries that have been radicalized by Marxian ideology, and you're watching it in real time. This is not some sort of spontaneous occupation. This is organized. Y'all need to wake up. This is a coordinated effort. James is like, they have spotters everywhere, on the street corners, inside the hotel, signaling, hey, we got somebody here, we got somebody there, running license plates. How are you running license plates unless you got individuals who are working within law enforcement that have access to that database? So now that means you have radicalized people at all levels of government. The governor's office, the attorney general's office, the mayor's office, somebody at the DMV, they're everywhere. His driver's getting a death threat? Leave in 1 hour or else y'all listen, I'm telling you, terroristic tactics. This is the KKK. Democrats, the left, it's always been them. The tactics have not changed. This did not happen organically. This is what happens when true leadership fails to rise up, and you have several years of Obama and Joe Biden. Now you finally got Trump, but there's so much damage that has been done. James asked the question that should haunt everybody who lives in Minnesota. Where is law enforcement? Where are the people who are supposed to restrain the lawbreaker? They ain't coming. They had no intentions on showing up. The incentives are broken because one, Tim Walz and the mayor are telling them, we're not getting involved in this. They want the chaos to happen. These officers are told, don't engage, don't defend yourself, don't escalate, don't respond. And the mob knows this. They know that they are shielded from the accountability and the consequences of their actions. So they exploit it and take over a whole hotel. Y'all, this is how a society collapses. It doesn't happen overnight. But by abdication of the people who are supposed to be in leadership, this is how it happens. It is unfortunate what has happened to the individual who lost his life. But if you're a civilian and you interfere with law enforcement, hear me clearly, the state is not perfect. That's not my position. I've never said they can do no wrong and everything they do is always justified. No. But what happens as a result of you participating and engaging in your mob justice, what happens is always worse. This is what radicalization looks like. And it doesn't just end with this. It ends with blood. You may think you're saying, F ICE, and no. The slogans and all of the interference and the noise nuisance, it always ends in bloodshed. Let me be clear. This ain't about James O'Keefe. This is not even about ICE. This is about what happens when the government is encouraging lawlessness and refuses to restrain it. We've seen leadership demonize authority. Now, it's interesting because they've demonized the authority, but what happens now that you've demonized authority when you actually need them to comply? You think they're going to listen? They're going to be like, nah, the mob's been legalized now. This is how we do it. They're going to refuse to comply when you ask. The floodgate has now been opened. You refuse to protect order, so you don't get peace, ever. You get more predatory behavior. And eventually, someone is going to get caught out here. There's going to be more bloodshed. This is tyranny. Anytime a civilian decides to interfere with law enforcement, you're going to get tyranny. This is active rebellion. And rebellion always demands a blood sacrifice. I told you this was a religion for these people. Minnesota did not choose peace. They have a leader that chose chaos, who encouraged them to engage in the chaos, and now people are paying the price. If you are a leftist or a Democrat, and unfortunately, our country is so polarized right now that it is difficult for people to see how harmful this is. I don't know what it's going to take to get people to see the writing on the wall. Some of these people we can't help, but it's going to require us to pray for our leaders, pray for law enforcement, back the blue, support your law enforcement, because the chaos that they are expected to live under, it is my prayer that we get more men of valor who are bold enough to step up versus ones that say, this is not worth it. I don't even want to participate in this, because the country will go to hell in a handbasket if men don't step up to lead. It's all about the principle of the matter. The principle, the bravery, the valor. So, anyway, I was thinking about covering y'all. I was on Twitter today. It's 9:30. I'm trying to see if I have time for another topic. I was thinking about covering. Did y'all hear how the Black Panthers have reemerged? But there's a caveat. They ain't hitting quite like they thought they would hit. We got black neighborhoods out here on fire. Crime is completely out of control. Kids can't read. Men are missing from the homes. But somehow there's this new brand of I'm gonna call them discount Black Panthers that have emerged. But y'all, they've emerged to fight for illegal immigrants. I said, well, I be darned. Not fight for their communities or their kids or their women. Nope. ICE. They're fighting against ICE. You can't make this up. I said, we have hit a whole new low of brain dead retardation. But I was thinking about covering that. I don't know if I have enough time to cover it. Let me see. I do want to clown. I want to clown a little bit. I gotta show y'all this clip. Just give me one quick second. Let me see if I can get it pulled up. Oh gosh. Where is it? Let me pull that. Let me see. I got too many windows open. All right. When I show y'all this is gonna make you laugh. I'm gonna share my screen and hold on. Let's see. I'm laughing. I ain't even played it yet. Hold
on. About face. Uso. Line up. About face. Uso. What are we here for?
For the protection of the black man, woman, and child by any means necessary. Unify, educate, demonstrate, liberate. The community is my responsibility. The protection of the black man, woman, and child by any means necessary. Unify, educate, demonstrate, liberate. The community is my responsibility. The community is my responsibility. The community is my responsibility.
About face. Uso. Line up.
I'm sorry, I had to play that. I was trying to check to see if I was gonna run into a copyright problem. So I don't think so. I might. We'll see. That beat sounds really familiar. But I wanted to show you guys this because these this new Black Panther Party, they're technically not legit and they're unauthorized, but I wanted you to see just how well coordinated this useful group of unmatched misfits engaged. I mean, they trying. They trying. Most of these dudes look like they either one step out of prison or on their way to prison. I understand people needing a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. This is why gangs are so popular, because people, when you don't have a father and you've had no one in your life to affirm your identity and affirm you and tell you who you are, you get caught up in stupidness like this, right? And it's really sad. It's sad because they don't even know what they're fighting for. They haven't a clue why ICE, like if you ask them, explain to me your position on illegal immigration, they can't. They don't know why they out here. So you have this group loosely, I mean, they're not like really organized. And I would say a group of men, but there's a few chicks in here. They look lost and confused too. But I'm using this group of grown men in a macro sense. But there's a woman here, right there, and then to the right there was another chick who looked like she didn't come to all the rehearsals, so she don't really know all the steps like she's supposed to. But this group popped up in Philadelphia, and they're calling themselves the Black Panther Party. They ain't got the black berets. I don't see the black leather jackets. They probably like, listen, we couldn't afford all that. But they're attempting to reemerge or reintroduce the whole revolutionary antics from the original Black Panther Party. But the problem is the actual Black Panthers, all of them are dead. And one of the founders, a family member of the founders, was like, no, y'all ain't it. Y'all need to go on sit down somewhere because you're embarrassing my legacy. So I think it is the niece of Huey P. Newton, if I'm not mistaken, basically said, y'all are fake and quit using our name before we sue you. Okay, so imagine being disowned by a movement that doesn't even exist anymore. You know you got to be down bad. When a movement that doesn't exist is like Y'all are trash. Cut it out. So, I showed this video to give you an idea of their formation is lacking. But as wrong as they were, right? A lot of people, we have this romanticized view about the original Black Panthers, and there's nothing that I would say I supported with what they were doing. But they had a little, well, I was gonna say they had some discipline in some areas. I mean, granted, they were selling drugs to their own people and using drugs, but optically they had a little bit more discipline and structure than this foolishness here. Like, they actually had a hierarchy. But these new ones, they look like a bunch of project rejects with no berets on. Like, they ain't even got the hat. No, they have no strategy, no clear vision as to what they're doing and why they exist. I went to Instagram. They've done, a few Instagram lives. They shoes don't match. They outfits don't match. This is busted. Y'all look bootleg. But I'd be interested in knowing, of all of the causes that you could champion, why ICE, right? Like, y'all are not out, they're not out here protecting their own block. They're not patrolling crime. They're not stopping any drug dealers at all. ICE is their emergency. So I'm like, you out here defending everybody but Black Americans, and you want us to take you serious? To me, this is why I'm like, y'all are just sad and unserious. We have Black Americans that are being murdered by the thousands every year, mostly by other Black folks. Where have y'all been? Silent. Your schools are falling apart. The kids can't read. Single mother households are out of control. Y'all don't have nothing to say, but let an ICE agent show up on the scene. Now is revolution time. Suddenly you're Che Guevara with a cash out. Like, is that what you're supposed to be? I don't know, but y'all, these dudes, they won't stand between a bullet and a child, but they'll stand between a criminal and deportation. Make it make sense. Actually, don't. You can't make it make sense. I already know the answer. Okay, somebody put a battery in these idiots' backs, and I am of the opinion that George Soros has diversified his investments. Okay, he wrote the check, probably. If this is an offshoot of BLM, then that means we got some Soros money to implicate here. Every time some chaos is needed, or a narrative needs to be spun, or you need to just put some oomph behind something, whenever they need some bodies in the street, they will just go find some useful idiots. Here comes some. Same script, the slogan, selective outrage. Y'all, these men are not leaders. Okay, they haven't even picked a mission that makes sense. This is not their agenda. They've just shown up with the battery installed in the back and some choreography that looks goofy as all get out. And why is it that they're not fighting the institutions that are actually harming Black people? Like, they ain't got no smoke for Planned Parenthood. They have no commentary, no call to action for the Department of Education that robs taxpayers of money, and poor children per head gets a whole lot of money, but the kids still can't read. Ain't got no smoke for the welfare fraud, all them Somalians who siphoned out money, taxpayer money. No, they silent. Where's the conversation about calling Black men to manhood and fatherhood? I'm sorry, half of y'all baby mamas probably got y'all on child support. This is the hill, ICE. This is the hill that these people are willing to die on. And it's because I believe BLM is behind this foolishness. And they're not even doing a good job. They're not even doing a good job. So I covered this. The truth of all of this, that's probably very uncomfortable to hear, is that Black America doesn't need any more activists. We had a whole lot of activism in the 60s. We had the civil rights icons. Those melanated Marxist maggots have led us to the bottom of every socioeconomic statistic that can be measured. We had the Black Panthers that did the same thing, sold drugs to their own people, was violating women and doing all kinds of egregious things. We don't need activism. We just need accountability. Okay, y'all got your A's mixed up. We don't need men in non-matching costumes looking like they're on their way to prison, pretending to be warriors. This is not helping us. We just need men who are going to do the basics. I mean, I don't know, go to work. Go to work. It ain't sexy. You don't get a medal for it, but it's the right thing to do. Go to work, lead your family. Not try to lead other people's families, just lead your family. And if you don't want to go to work to somebody's job, fine. Build a business. Find something that you can be useful and do well. Get a product, get a service. Do something. But this ain't it. The greatest threat to Black America, I'm sorry, y'all, it's not ICE. This is so way down on the totem pole. I'm trying to understand why you have committed yourself to this cause. ICE is not a threat to Black folks. Like, we live here. This is our country. We're trying to figure out why you would protect ICE from getting the illegal immigrants out, which we know depresses wages and takes resources from Americans, including Black ones. All of this is another form of ideological manipulation, and y'all look stupid. You're being used again. Every election cycle, now we at the midterms, we got to deal with fake Panthers who aren't even revolutionaries. They're just props. This is embarrassing. Y'all need to stop it. At least tell George or Alex Soros to get y'all some matching gear and some combat boots. And even if you don't do the leather berets, at least get the wool ones and cut your hair. I feel like I got to talk to these people like I'm their mama. Where is your mama and your daddy? Do you know them? This is crazy. I can't even believe I spent time covering this. Anyway, y'all, this is some foolishness. Go to work. Work is honorable. Why can't we get our young men to have a healthy doctrine of work? And I don't want to just rag on the Black men. Where are the Black women that can respect the man that just has a healthy doctrine of work, working a job as unto the Lord with his hands? He ain't out here slinging dope. He ain't running women. He just goes to work. Like, he get up every day on time, shows up to work, and adds value. When are we going to celebrate that? Like, he goes to work. There are women who, for them, that's not even good enough anymore. Oh, you work a 9 to 5. I can't be with no dude that work just a 9 to 5. Well, since when did working a 9 to 5 be something that you look down upon? I'm so disappointed with this generation of women who think like that. Because there are a whole lot of good guys out here that work a job that you could easily build a life with, but because he can't give you an Instagram curated life, you don't want him. That's why you gonna die alone, and you gonna be somebody old auntie one day, wishing and having a whole lot of regrets. I know young people don't listen to my show, but y'all need to clip this and send this to some young people, because you ain't gonna be young forever, and eventually you gonna realize that the nice guy who had the job down at the plant was your guy, but you didn't want him because, you wanted the dude slinging dope, I guess. I don't understand it. Anyway, y'all, I'm about to go. My back is hurting. I don't know what's going on with my back here, but something's going on and I got to go do something about it. But this is a busy week for me, you guys. I interviewed with Linda B. Chat with me, Linda B. Shout out to you, beautiful, last week, and she plans to debut that episode on the 28th at 8 p.m., I think. And so I will make sure to send you guys I'll do a community post so y'all can watch that interview. I will also be on Stephen Gardner this week. I think that's going to be on Thursday. Friday morning, I will be over there hanging out with AYP in the morning, A Righteous Perspective. And then tomorrow afternoon, I will be hanging out with Carrie Deprogrammed over here on YouTube. I think that's everybody, but this is a full week and I don't think I will ever commit to doing that many shows that are not mine in 1 week because y'all about to burn a sister out. But other than that, if you have not, hop on over to historev.com for Historia Revelata. If you've not seen MLK Motives Unmasked Season 1, we've wrapped up Season 1. Season 2 episodes have started dropping. We've already dropped episode 1 from Season 2. And I think we're approaching Black History Month. So I think it's important for people to learn the truth about what was happening pre-civil rights and then during civil rights as to what was the motive behind the civil rights movement and MLK's motives. We are unmasking them. Also, for Black History Month, I am going to be doing a lot of content. I want to revisit Bloody Sunday that happened down in Selma, Alabama. I'm working on a show to cover that topic. I am so not interested in romanticizing what we've been told was the civil rights movement. I am looking at it with a very critical eye, doing a lot of research to uncover why it is that we thought that it was wise and smart to purposely subject ourselves to being beat up in the street for voting rights. I know that's not a popular opinion, but based on the research that I've done, there was nothing nonviolent about the civil rights movement, and I can prove it, and we're going to talk about it. So be looking out for the video that I do, because pretty soon I know they're going to start commemorating coming up in March, Bloody Sunday, where you see images of John Lewis getting his head bust open, and he is celebrated for that every year. And I refuse. I ain't doing it. I'm not. So anyway, I love you guys with the love of the Lord, and stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace. Good night, you guys.